mass subway shooting in New York. Another school shooting using a ghost gun. Democratic National Committee Chairman Jamie Harrison calls Senator Tom Cotton a little maggot. Black uniformed cop in unmarked car in Kansas is racially profiled by his colleagues. Is this policing while black? Senate confirms Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson to Supreme Court, and the lone black Republican votes against her. Details later. It's Saturday morning, and that means it's time for That Saturday Show. Welcome back, everyone. Good morning, Albuquerque, and welcome to another episode of That Saturday Show. I'm Jim Harvey, your host, and we have another great show for you. And this time it's brought to you by our reliable promoter and sponsor, the Albuquerque Center for Peace and Justice, your voice and your advocate for social justice. We'll be talking about recycling, plastics and climate issues today, health and wellness, and we'll be joined by members of the Climate Justice New Mexico and the New Mexico Recycling Coalition. Later on the show, we're going to learn about great health services from Lumen Optimal Wellness. Music by Los Dominqueros, and Good News, a reliable staple. But first, let me get this off my chest. Ghost guns, like any other guns, kill people. But the difference is you can get ghost gun kits in the mail, no questions asked. A local high school student was recently killed right here in Albuquerque by his own ghost gun. Another student was killed in New York with a ghost gun. It would seem that the obvious question here is, why the hell is no one calling for outlawing ghost guns? More death and more cowering by the politicians? Calling it like it is, Democratic National Committee Chair Jamie Harrison has done what more Democrats need to do more often, in my opinion. He called out one of those racist Confederate politicians for what he really is, dragging up from the sewers. Tom Cotton, a U.S. Senator, commented that Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson would probably have defended Nazi war criminals. How low can you get? Tom Cotton and his ilk, people like that crazy guy from South Carolina, Lindsey Graham, crawling on their bellies. Harrison fired back at Tom Cotton, though, calling him a little maggot, and I think that was too polite. But I think a lot of additional names, could be used to call this Southern racist pig just what he, along with Lindsey Graham and others, fully deserve of this kind of name calling and a lot more. Bravo, Jamie Harrison. Well, here we go with racist cops. This time, it's a case of policing while black. Herb Robinson was in uniform, driving in an unmarked police vehicle when other Kansas City police officers stopped him. He said he was one of the two times in his 30-year career of police that he feared for his life. Observers of the footage of the stop pointed to racism, toxicity, and racial profiling in the department. Kansas City is just like the rest of the country, though. Black people are more likely to be stopped and arrested. It's not a coincidence he was being harassed. The Kansas City Star reveals that Robinson's traffic stop was discovered as part of a year-long investigation into racism by the Kansas City Police Department. Congratulations to Ketanji Brown Jackson, who was confirmed by the Senate. But good old Uncle Tim Scott from South Carolina, the lone black Republican in the Senate, voted against her. We already have Uncle Clarence Thomas, and we don't need any more of these black oxymorons. threatening and working hard against the black community. Are we expected to tolerate them? I don't think so. Let's get some good news, some real good news from Hassani.
Welcome to Good News News. I'm your correspondent, Hassani Olujimi, and I'm Gugu for Good News. The goal of this segment is to inspire and uplift you, the viewer, with nothing but good news. Our story today was submitted by a faithful viewer and friend, Tanya Covington. This is going to be a good story. So let's explore a little more.
Can I just have 1 minute? Can I have 1 minute? That's all I need. Listen, yesterday, man, while the world is spinning, we talking about NBA basketball, we talking about Oscars, we talking about is the Lakers going to do it? What movie just came out? While we doing all of that, man, I want to just put some energy and some light on something that just happened. Robert Smith, you know him, man. This brother is who went out and took care of all the college loans at Morehouse. The black billionaire, put some B's on it. Doing this video, man, because I want to put some light on something, man, because every time, man, this brother done spent over $1 billion has been spent on philanthropy for people like myself and you, black women, black men, Latino women, Asian men, Asian women. This brother has been putting the money out there unrecognized. Straight up. So well before the college loan thing, he'd been doing that 10 years before that. And the media seems to never give him the attention that he needs to have. So I'm going to put some attention on it today. Yesterday, man, this is incredible. In New York, Mount Sinai Hospital launched the Robert Smith prostate cancer units. This is one for to tell y'all. This man has put together trucks that will ride around the country and screen African-American men for cancer. Let me tell y'all why it's important. Let me tell you why it's important. Black men are 70% more likely to get prostate cancer than any other race. Hey, man, I want y'all to send a big shout out to Robert Smith. Go to his page, say what's up to him. Go look at what he just did with Mount Sinai. That is incredible, man. Mobile units that will drive around to screen you for prostate cancer. My dad died of cancer, man, so for me, it hit home. Anyways, love y'all.
Wow. Now, isn't that, say it with me, good news? Bravo, bravo. Be sure to check on your health. Get all the tests, run all the scans. It's not just for you, it's for all those that love you. Well, I'll see you right here next time on That Saturday Show with a huge announcement. See you soon. And don't forget to get Gugu for good news.
Thank you, Hassani. Now, a topic that should be on everybody's mind: climate justice, threats to the environment that put us all in a bad place for a lot of years to come. And what do we need to do about it? Thank goodness there are people right here in New Mexico who are working on this issue from several different angles. And we've got some of them here in the studio with us today. We're talking about climate justice. We're talking about recycling. We're talking about things that could make a significant difference in our lives for years to come. So let me welcome and invite someone who is on screen with us today. All right, we're going to start with you. Sarah Pierpont is the Executive Director of the New Mexico Recycling Coalition. Welcome, Sarah.
Welcome to you. It's such a treat to be here. I really appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time to talk to all of us about this important issue.
Glad you could be with us. And then right next to Sarah and in the studio is this incredible young lady who's working on climate issues, and hats off to you for that. Athena Hanna. Welcome, Athena.
Thank you.
And thank you for the incredible work you're doing, all right?
Thank you.
And sitting next to Athena is Athena's mom, and her name is Anni Hanna. And glad you could join us as well, Annie.
Thank you so much.
Right.
Really appreciate it.
And last but certainly not least, one of our high school students and an activist in this environmental justice work. And her name is Ashley. No, her name is Erica Ho. Ashley couldn't be with us today. That's right. So Erica Ho is with us. And Erica, you're at La Cueva High School, right?
Yes, I'm a junior at La Cueva.
Is there anything going on at La Cueva around environmental justice?
Well, I think the entire student body is trending towards environmental justice and towards eco-conscious sort of behaviors, so there's always something brewing.
They're saying that Generation Z and Generation X and millennials have pushed this topic to the top of everyone's agenda. And so I'm so glad that I'm sitting next to someone in your age category that's looking out for me and looking out for your future as well. So, Anni, tell us, what's going on with New Mexico climate justice? What are you all doing? What are you working on? And how are you working to get these messages out here? And then we're going to talk about this artwork, too.
Well, we've been doing a lot of things in the community, and one of the things that we've been focused on the last 3 or 4 months has been this trying to stop the repeal of the plastic bag ordinance. It was something we were involved in 2019, and we had such an outpouring of community support back then. And it was Earth Day 2019 when it was first reinstated, and then of course we had the pandemic pause. And then in November, we had everything fixed, everything came back, and then this repeal happened. So we're just trying to work and get the message out to the community and involve people and bring them to city council and talk to their councilors.
So have you started having conversations with people at the city council? And
And one of the best ways to do that is to work with single-use plastics, such as single-use plastic bags, polystyrene food takeout containers, all those plastic things that we touch and open and use for about 12 minutes. And we really don't want to be taking hydrocarbons out of the ground to make plastic products that then pollute our earth and we use for 12 minutes. So one of the easiest things, the low-hanging fruit, is to stop the single-use plastic. And you do that by banning the items that we use most frequently, like plastic bags, polystyrene, satchels, those little like individual serving things for shampoo or ketchup or whatever it may be. So it's not that recycling doesn't work. Recycling is very important in our entire solid waste management system. We have recycling of aluminum, of cardboard, of paper, of tin. All these things get recycled really easily and really well. Number one and number two, plastics. But it's not fair to put the burden on the plastic waste crisis on the recycling industry, because there's simply no way to recycle our way out of this mess.
That is for sure. And you know, I noticed that people who buy into the whole recycling concept, when they buy into it, they're there. They're there, and they're pretty diligent about it. But there's just so much stuff that goes in those cans in the name of recycling that is not recyclable. And that's an
you
issue.
hit the nail on the head. That's exactly it. And those things that go into, in Albuquerque, you have the great curbside blue bins.
Yeah.
Albuquerque has an exemplary recycling program. It's
Absolutely.
a great program.
Yeah.
Curbside operation. The city runs it really well. They have a partnership with a private entity that processes the material. But we call a lot of that wish cycling or aspirational recycling. And that's exactly what you're talking about, Jim, when people think, I want to recycle this. I know it's important. I feel bad about how much stuff there is in the world and the consumption. And so I'm just going to put it in the blue bin, even if it may not belong there. And we call that the expensive route to the landfill, because it gets touched at the bin. Someone has to handle that. They put it in the recycling truck. They take it to the recycling center. There's people, actual people sorting the material, taking off what cannot be recycled. Then there's machines, there's currents, there's filters, there's fluffers, there's optical sorting machines that, unsort all that material. And the trash that didn't belong there in the first place, whether that's like your garden hose or your dirty pizza boxes or your dirty food containers, that ends up as trash, and then it goes into the trash. It just costs a lot more to send it that way to the landfill than just to put it directly into the trash bin in the first place.
So the landfills just don't get any smaller.
They don't get any smaller, and that's something that Annie and her group and all of the students and all the people that were really vocal at the student council hearings and at the city council meetings about why we should keep the clean and green retail ordinance. There were so many reasons. Anything from litter and tourism and not wanting to have to pick up all these plastic bags in our roadways and waterways to, having them be a contaminant in the recycling bin. But there's so many reasons that the city can do a lot to keep the source reduction and prevent pollution before it begins.
So Annie, let's come back to this whole business of engaging the city council and local government here to be a lot more proactive and engaged in this whole effort here. Where are they?
Well, right now they have completely repealed the bag ordinance. So it is over. And what I wanted to do is come together as a community and say, look, let's find solutions together. Maybe there's ways that we could have a task force and get more reusable bags to vulnerable communities or people with disabilities, and really say, how can we make this work for everyone? But instead, 6 city councilors just decided to repeal, which means that if we want to do this again, we have to start from the very beginning. Yeah, and I wanted to emphasize the point that Sarah was making, that the production of plastics is huge, and it connects to New Mexico because it's in the Permian Basin, where they're doing so much of this fracking. And so that affects vulnerable communities who are having toxic air from the fracking, having toxic water or contaminated water from fracking waste. That affects New Mexico, but it also affects the places where these petrochemical plants are, like Cancer Alley in Louisiana. And unfortunately, those petrochemical plants are in predominantly black and brown communities that are poor, and they have some of the most toxic air in America. So this is really a racial justice issue. It's an environmental racism issue. And it seems to me that City Council was not really interested in exploring those issues or talking about those issues.
Last week we had representatives from the Navajo Nation on the show.
I saw it.
And we did two weeks with them on the show, and they were talking about the fact that under the guise of drilling for helium, that they knew, everybody who's concerned about this knows good and well that while they're drilling for helium, they're also going to be pulling up other petrochemicals out of the ground. They're going to pull up oil. They're going to pull up gas. They're going to pull up these things because it's the oil and gas company that's owned by the Navajo Nation that is behind all of this. And we know good and well that they've got their own economic interests in it. The sad part about it is that much like I suspect the city council here in Albuquerque, there's some financial interests at play. I always say, you want answers to these things, let's follow the money.
And actually, I wanted to talk about that. So we asked Councillor Bassan to provide us some information on where she got her repeal talking points. And she sent us this little brochure. And at the bottom here, it says the American Progressive Bag Alliance. And so if you go online and look at what this bag alliance is, they are representatives of the plastic bag companies. So they work directly for them. And so the talking points of our repeal are directly from the plastic bag corporations.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The fox is watching the hen house.
And it's national organizations crushing grassroots efforts here. Yeah.
Sure. Lots of money. Lots of money. Erica, what's going on your end?
So I'm a La Cueva student.
Yes.
I'm part of the Environmental Club, which is how I found out about New Mexico climate justice. And so I was just one of the many just community volunteers that went to speak at the city council meetings. And I learned a lot along the way. I think in La Cueva, the general idea of the student body, and I think the general idea of a lot of the people I'm around is towards eco-conscious behaviors and toward eco-conscious decisions. We can see the detriments of environmental damage and environmental degradation all around us. And we know that having to go into that future and having to live in that future, that there's not a lot of hope if we continue at the path we're at. And so going into this, my main idea is that I just simply don't understand, there's a lot more than plastic bags. And it's a lot more than this plastic bag ban, because it's really just speaking about New Mexico legislation and Albuquerque's strides towards environmental reform and environmental consciousness, and really putting youth's future first and considering the environment as a whole beyond just, just instantaneous and immediate conveniences for the population currently. So that's my big stake in it, and I think it's incredibly important. And I know a lot of other of my peers and other teenagers and other high schoolers who are passionate as well.
Yeah, there's just so many ways that they're killing the planet.
Indeed, yeah.
So many ways. Athena, I'm just fascinated by this piece of work that you've got here, and I hope the camera can pick it up, and let's see, because it makes such an important statement. So, who's saying "Save me"?
It's the turtle.
It's a turtle, huh? Yeah. And why'd you pick a turtle?
Well, I guess I just thought of like a underwater sea creature that'd be harmed by plastic.
Yeah. I've seen campaigns to just kind of like clean up the ocean floor, and more of those are popping up around the world. I'm so happy to see. But we've got this garbage dump that's the size of Texas. Not necessarily my favorite state, by the way, but the size of Texas. And to think of all this trash that's being dumped into the ocean and is killing the animals. And someone told me about the little plastic things that go around the soda pop bottles to hold them all in place, and a couple of times when I've gotten those, I found that before I throw them out, I always want to cut them up, because they've shown pictures of turtles and other sea creatures getting caught in them. Because where do they end up? They end up in the trash. And the trash ends up where? In the ocean. So I'm glad you chose a turtle, because it's really a good symbol of, how we've got to do something about life. So what inspires you to do this, Athena?
Well, we were going to a climate rally, and so we all needed to make posters, and it was about the plastic bag.
Yeah.
So I just decided to show where the plastic ends up, and
Good. You keep up the good work too. You're the voice we need. You really are.
So at City Council, I've been speaking at City Council since I was 8.
What? I haven't even spoken at the city council. That's great. Come on, tell us what did you tell them?
Well, last time at city council, I was in person, and I was saying like how the dirty socks, how like if they like leaving the plastic bags here, are like leaving their dirty socks all around the living room and making their kids clean it up.
Good. That's a good comparison. Dirty socks. Yuck. Oh God. So let's get back to these plastic bags and just plastic recycling with you, Sarah. Are there any pointed campaigns that we can all begin to wrap our minds around and get involved in?
Yeah, so single-use plastic bags or plastic bags of any sort are not recyclable anywhere in our state. And it's not because we lack the infrastructure, it's because these bags were not made for recyclability.
Right.
They get caught in the machinery, they get mixed in with the gears, and it actually costs a facility the size of Albuquerque's about $200,000 in down productivity to turn the equipment off and take that material, those bags out of the gears so it can run safely. It's also a safety issue for the workers there. If things are stuck in gears, you don't want things to get released quickly, and also bags, people don't know what is in the bag. And if you have a person, these are people that are sorting through quickly, and it might be a bag full of kitty litter or needles or something that's dangerous that people shouldn't be touching or dealing with. It's not safe. So those, even though now that we don't have the ordinance, there will be more single-use plastic bags in the environment in New Mexico and in our houses and in our homes. So it's really important that they do not get taken to the recycling center. They do not get put in the blue bin because they are a contaminant.
Well, I've appointed myself the committee of one. Every time I walk in the store, if I see these plastic bags, I'm going to make a lot of noise about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, because I think that's one of the things that all of us could begin to do. Don't you think so?
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a lot of alternatives. I think plastic bags at the grocery store are a really good place to start. What baffles me about this topic is that just down to the root of it, I simply don't understand why grocery stores and stores in general are putting so much money into giving out free plastic bags. It doesn't have to be inherent that we go to the store and expect a bag to be given to us to carry out our grocery stores. As I said in one of my city council meetings, just as we bring our own water to the gym or our own like doggy bags to pick up our dog's poop when we go on a walk, like we can bring our own bags to the grocery store, and we can expect that if we have to buy something, we have to be responsible for carrying those products out to our cars or to wherever we're going. And that can be through reusable canvas bags. There's a lot of alternatives. Those can be through backpacks that we all have. It doesn't have to be through plastic bags. Stores do not have to be spending money on giving away their own plastic bags, and those plastic bags don't have to be ending up in the landfills.
We just went through this long winter of COVID, and a lot of the stores we went in, you know, they were telling you bring your own bags. In some places they would charge you for bags, but in other instances they'd ask you if you really needed a bag, you know. And so many times I just walked out with what I was buying in my arms because I didn't need a bag. Paper, plastic, otherwise. You didn't need one. You know, you didn't need one. And it seems like if they could do it then, what's the problem now? Except that
Follow the money. They want to
follow
sell
the money.
more plastic bags.
You got it. Let's sell more plastic bags. Let's put more junk out in the environment.
Right.
Let's turn the clock ahead on killing Mother Earth.
I wanted to say that the Water Board Authority wrote a really good letter to City Council. And what they said is that they are cleaning 5 semi-truck worth of plastic bags out of the storm drains to the Rio Grande. So 5 semi-trucks every year are coming out of that. So imagine how many are slipping by the storm drains or blowing into the river too.
Yeah.
And so that's like an extra cost to taxpayers and to people who are working on that, and also all the volunteers who pick up things in our bosque.
And you would think that if you added in the economic factor and the economic harm that's being done, you know, that the people who are responsible for watching our budget in the city would be motivated to be more proactive. And instead, you know, again, if you follow the money, let's do some research and see how many of them have investments in something related to petrochemicals and plastic. How many of those city council members are, on the take, if you will? That's pretty scary stuff.
Well, and Jim, if I can add to that,
Sure.
It's not even it might not even be like exact donations to a certain person or a certain political entity, but there is such a national a strong lobby between the hydrocarbon, the oil and gas industries, and when there's any little effort towards this sort of change, it just seems really businesses get really scared. And so even if it's a small town like Albuquerque, you'll get national lobbyists to come in, to get rid of a single-use plastic bag ban. Like Annie was mentioning, the talking points were from the plastic bag industry. So I kind of like the fact that these little steps are scaring the big industry and making them pay attention. Yeah. And so, hopefully that momentum will be kind of a tipping point for change that we can all work towards. But it is a little bit surprising that these small little efforts on a grassroots local level get attacked from, big think tanks that are working against this.
I think it's important to mention one name, and that's the Rio Grande Foundation. And Paul Gessing is a lobbyist for them, and he spoke out at the city council. And they are funded by the Koch brothers. So they have been working in alliance with the Plastic Bag Recycling Alliance, the plastic industry. And so they coordinated this effort, I believe. Could be a coincidence, but both of them were speaking at the city council as lobbyists. Yeah.
Koch brothers, Georgia Pacific paper, just the copy paper alone. When I think about the Koch brothers, and I think that they own Georgia Pacific paper, I'm constantly looking and making certain that when I need copy paper, I'm not buying Georgia Pacific, and other people need to begin to think about ways, again, that we can proactively, if you will, being polite about it, but quite literally attack them where it makes a difference, and that is in their pockets. And let them know. Because when money starts slowing down, people then sit up and pay attention. So if council members are invested, if they have investment in stock in some of these companies, that's something to look at. And if they're not, if they're just being wined and dined and convinced by the lobbyists when they come to town that that's the side of the equation they should be on, they need to be called out for it. Because they're, again, not working in the best interests of the people. And they're not working in the best interests of our futures, and they're not working in the best interests of the planet.
Exactly.
Somebody's got to do something about that. They really do. They really do. Yeah. So let's come back to La Cueva. Any campaigns in particular that you can talk about that are being mounted there?
So I found out about this through Environmental Club, which is a La Cueva club.
Tell us about that.
So yeah, it's a really cool organization. It's one of the largest clubs at La Cueva, which I think goes to speak towards the idea that a lot of the student body is interested in the environment. And especially in high school, when people are busy, being able to take a little bit of time after school to go to a club to talk about the environment really shows that people aren't only thinking about it and aren't only conscious about it, but wanting to take action and wanting to start getting involved at an early age to hopefully make effects in the future and hopefully continue to make action in the future. So in Environmental Club, we have a lot of topics. We talk about plastic bags. We talk about everything from composting to space exploration. So just a lot of topics covered. And there's a lot of general interest. So with plastic bags in general, I think everyone's against plastic bags, of course, and everyone is making sure to take action in their own, just on an individual basis by not taking plastic bags at the store, by bringing their own alternative canvas bags, and then also willing to speak up at city council meetings and willing to go into their environment and talk about how they feel in regards to environmental reform. So that's really, really cool. And we have great administration, great teachers who are super receptive to these conversations and super helpful for people who want to take action at La Cueva.
That's good to know.
They also happen to be in a key district, city council district, which is Councilor Bassan. And she is up for re-election in 2023.
Yes, she is, isn't she?
Yeah.
Good grief, I wish I was going to be here because I live in her district too.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. And I was actually thinking I'd find somebody to run against her or maybe even run against her myself because she is so bad about the issues. She really is. And, you know, I was disappointed that other people that ran for that seat, you know, that were more progressive didn't win. And then we had a group, veterans, that went to memorialize a position, taking a position against nuclear weapons. And she was one of those who voted against it. And I was really, really upset with her for that as well. Because again, we're talking about destroying life and destroying the planet, you know, and these things have got to stop. They just do.
Yeah.
Just do. So I'm coming back to you, Athena, because, you know, you just got all kinds of things going on in your head, I'm sure. Are there any things that people in your age range, in your classes, are talking about doing around these issues of environmental justice?
So yeah, we're
And what's
Just answer
happening to the
questions.
earth?
Yeah.
we're just gonna answer some questions and they're gonna show our film.
I think that's great. So when is this video going to be finished?
Well, we did one last year, and it's already done, and we already submitted our one for this year.
Is this something we could get a hold of, and I'll speak to our director here, and maybe we can share it on the show one week?
Oh, yeah.
You know, that would be great,
Yeah.
because it's your voice that counts more than any other, I can tell you. It really is. It really is. I thank you for that. Anni, any particular campaigns that we can begin to get laser focused on as we move ahead?
Well, tomorrow night at the Peace and Justice Center, we're going to have an art build where
Right.
we're talking about defunding climate chaos, because it's really the money, like we've been talking about, and the big banks that are funding these big projects, petrochemical projects. They're also behind the Formosa plastics in Cancer Alley in Louisiana. So we're going to be making art so that we can show that at UNM campus and around town. And
Good.
yeah.
Good.
But also, I'm a photographer, and I wanted to share some of these photos with you. This is right in the open space, right near our house, and you can see this plastic bag has been in the wind and the sun, and it's just breaking down into those little microplastics. And this is a photo that was taken of one of those storm drains.
Good grief.
And so that's all the plastic caught in there that has to be removed so it doesn't go into our Rio Grande. And just this week, too, or last week, they found that the new research shows that plastic is actually being found in our blood now and in our lungs. So those tiny little particles are coming into our systems, and we don't really have research on what it's doing. But like air pollution, it's probably not good to have plastic in us.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. We've got to stay vigilant, I tell you. Sarah?
Yes.
Campaigns, movement ahead.
Well, the silver lining maybe of having the Albuquerque plastic bag ban repealed is that there is some movement to have a single-use plastic bag or single-use plastic bill brought to the roundhouse on a statewide level. And so that's something we're looking into and trying to see if we could raise the, build a coalition to support this. It's not impossible. There's 8 or 9, maybe 10 now states that have done this, where on a statewide level, plastic bags, styrofoam takeout containers, straws available upon request, all these things are really doable. And the most interesting thing is that our neighbor to the north, Colorado, they just passed a single-use plastic bag ban that goes into effect in 2023, and it's phased in. It's plastic bags and then takeout styrofoam containers. So we're going to learn from our neighbors and hopefully do the same thing here in New Mexico.
That's great. That is great. It's the only way it's going to happen, just, piece by piece. And the legislative session is still a few months away, so we've got time to line up sponsors in the legislature and then get the public behind it and be prepared to storm the roundhouse in January of 2023.
Yeah, we'll if we end up making it for this session, we'll definitely send out the call for helpers. So
Sure.
I appreciate that.
Sure. Well, the short session just ended, so there's plenty of time. Plenty of
That's right.
time. Let's get out there and do it then.
I think this really is a wake-up call for youth and for everyone in the community to just show up at City Council and really engage with them and start talking about this. And then it's going to have to follow up with working on elections.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. So we've got about 2.5 minutes left, and I'd like to just go round robin and give each of you a chance to deliver your message to the viewers. And hopefully in those messages, give everybody some idea in terms of what we can do to make a difference. So, Sarah, let's start with you.
Okay, great. So I just want to make sure people know that recycling is not all the same. Recycling aluminum, paper, cardboard, all these things, it's really important and really good to recycle. Recycling plastic, number 1 and 2. So don't think that the whole recycling system is broken just because those harder to recycle plastics don't make it into the recycling bin or can't be recycled. So that's important. And then also, just like we were talking, it's really important to bring reuse. Bring your own bag, bring your own item. In Santa Fe, they just opened a soap refill store, so you can just bring your containers and get more soap filled into that. And I'm sure those sort of things will be popping up around the state. So finding ways to reuse is really important.
Thank you so much. Athena, what would you like to say, particularly to people like yourself, your age, that we want to grow up healthy and in a healthy planet?
You're never too young to make a difference, and you can even if the city council doesn't tell you, you can always refuse plastic bags and bring your own reusable bags.
Yeah, I'm with you. Annie?
Yeah, I think there's so many ways we can get involved, and really the community gets stronger. Even though this is a temporary defeat, we're not going away. We're here. We've built more networks and know more people, and so I think this is just part of the journey, but there is an urgency. We need to solve some of these things, and I think that our city councilors need to be responsive and understand that this really matters to us.
Great.
Yeah, and I would echo off of Sarah and Athena and just say it's never too early to change your habits, and it's important to change your habits. So if you can start bringing your own bags to the grocery store, start refilling your own soap bottles, it will make a difference in the long run, and it will really change for a lot of people.
It sure will. It sure will. Our planet depends on it. Our future is depending on it. And our future is speaking out. And I am so glad to know that hope is going to rest with the work that you all are doing. And I've just got enough good sense to get behind you, follow those recommendations, help spread the word, and point people in your direction because you've got the messages. Okay. Sarah Pierpont, Athena Hanna, Anni Hanna, and Erica Ho. Thank you all so much for coming on that Saturday show. Keep up this good work. We need you.
Thank
We
you so
appreciate
much.
Thank you for having us.
All right. All right. After that urgent message, let's hear some music from Los Dominqueros, a song called Back to You.
I fucking love you and you're so special. So this song is for Shano Urrutia. It's called Back to You. It's something about the way she drives me mad. Crying over dishes and the things. Wait until I'm cozy in my bed, just to ask me for a drink, a book, or even a snack. She has her eyes and thinks that she can pull a fast one on me. Those big old brownies got me feeling kind of warm. Who am I kidding? She knows that I love her anyway. Don't matter, cause all that leads back to you. So don't worry, cause I do the same to you. And as always, where we find a way to do all the things that lead me right back to you. Every time she bakes, she makes a mess. She's alright, she's alright, she's alright, she's alright. All the fucking plans fill me with stress. She's alright, she's alright, she's alright, she's alright. So we're finding ways to fill our house. She's alright, she's alright, she's alright, she's alright. But still she finds a way to bring me back. She's alright, she's alright, she's alright, she's alright. She finds a way and let me pull a fast one on me. It gets annoying, really. Why won't you grow up already? Guess I'm doomed to put up with that bullshit on my day. No matter, cause all that leads back to you. Don't worry, cause I do the same to you. As always, we find a way to do all the things that lead me right back to you. Let's see those hands up, guys. Albuquerque, let's see what you got. I heard that Burgueños like to party, and I heard it go down at the Launch Pad on a Friday night. Jose Chica on that trumpet. Woo. It goes a little something like this. All of those things will lead back to you, and all of my dreams will lead back to you, and all roads will lead me back to you, and well, for all my days I'll be next to you. And she bats her eyes and thinks that she can pull a fast one on me. It gets annoying, really. Why won't you grow up already? Sometimes I think the road gets kinda hard and kinda dirty, but then I think of my changuita, make me go, who am I kidding? She knows that I love her anyway. No matter, cause all that leads back to you. Don't worry, cause I do the same to you. As always, we find a way to do all the things that lead me right back to you. Whoa, whoa, don't matter, cause all that leads back to you.
Health and wellness, major in all of our lives. And right at the center of it is the incredible Dan Spanogle. He's an Albuquerque native and founder of Lumen Optimal Wellness. Now, there's a mouthful. After many years as a professional musician around Albuquerque and as a residential realtor with Southwest Property Pros, Dan decided to follow his passion for health and wellness and create a truly unique wellness center to support the community. As an avid health enthusiast and a biohacker, I'm going to have to talk about that, he believes that the body is designed to thrive and heal itself when given the proper support. I couldn't agree more. Over the last 5 years, Lumen has provided tools and services that are based on the latest science and technology to help give his clients the support they need to feel their very best. So we're going to talk about biohacking. I'm really curious about that. But welcome to That Saturday Show, Dan Spanogle.
Thank you so much for having me on.
All right.
It's a pleasure.
So tell us about Lumen, and then you're going to have to answer my question. All right.
Be happy to,
All
yeah.
right.
So Lumen is a passion of mine that we started about 5 years ago. It is a very unique center that's designed around all these different services. We have flotation therapy, which some people know as sensory deprivation therapy. We have infrared sauna, massage, pulsed electromagnetic field machines. It's a very high-powered electromagnetic energy that's really powerful. We have the most effective and efficient exercise tools in the state called ARX, Adaptive Resistance Exercise. Brain training, dynamical neurofeedback, all sorts of these tools to really kind of meet people where they're at on their health circle, I call it. So if you're hurt, you're injured, we might meet you here and we're going to provide some recovery tools to help you feel better and help you heal faster. If you're already like a high-performance athlete, we're going to help you accelerate that and stay at your top peak form, not only mentally but physically.
All right. My question.
Okay, biohacking.
What is biohacking?
Yeah. So it's become something that's really grown over the last 10 years. And it's the concept of using tools and technology, science, to not only hopefully heal yourself faster, but live at your optimal level of health. Some may even call it hyper wellness. So you want to feel good. You want to feel like you're young and healthy and vibrant and energetic and no pain and sleep well. But what if you felt like you were like the energy of a 12-year-old? Age backwards, the holy grail of regeneration.
Right.
Yeah, regenerative science, regenerative medicine is something that's growing really fast right now.
I love that. That's wonderful stuff then. Yeah. So how can our tools support this faster recovering and healing? I think that's I believe in that, but share that with our audience.
Sure. So it depends on the tool. So flotation therapy, for example, is a float cabin with 1,300 pounds of Epsom salt dissolved in about 10 inches of water. And because of that Epsom salt, you're completely buoyant. It's more buoyant than the Dead Sea. And because it's magnesium, it's really good for circulation, good for relaxing your muscles. But the magic really comes from the lack of light, lack of sound, lack of temperature, lack of gravity from laying in this pool of water. When you take away the stimulation, we're so exposed to all these stimulus around us, light, our phones, the TV, noise, everything's around us stimulating our nervous system, and our nervous system sees that as possible danger. When you take that away and you go into a float tank for an hour, it's decompression. It's like, it's like a 4-hour nap in an hour.
Wow.
It's very calming. It activates your parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest system, lowers your cortisol levels, your stress hormones, and increases your, happier levels like dopamine and serotonin. So that's one tool. Then we have the pulsed electromagnetic field. It's pulsed PEMF. That tool, it's basically a jolt, a very short pulse of energy, electromagnetic energy that goes through every cell in your body, and you can feel it. It's very visceral. It'll activate your muscles and you'll bounce a little bit on the table sometimes. But what it does is it's optimizing your cells to pull in more nutrition and oxygen, and also expel more waste. So you're optimizing your cell to actually breathe in the nutrients and oxygen and expel the waste. That feeds the mitochondria, which creates more ATP, which is our energy fuel, ATP. That promotes healing. Basically, you're just optimizing the body to do what it's supposed to do. It also helps with circulation and stem cell activation, all the things your body really needs to improve faster.
So I'd heard somewhere that when it comes to sensory deprivation, one of the important things that they say is when you go to bed at night, it's important that you sleep in a dark room. Some people like to keep a light on, and they say, don't do that.
Absolutely, yeah.
That it's that total darkness that helps calm and level off the body and sends a message that everything is safe.
Yes.
That's, yeah, okay, so you've just confirmed that for me.
Yes, our bodies are very light sensitive.
Yeah.
You know, we evolved over millions of years with just the sun. And now we have light bulbs in our face all the time. We have televisions and phones that have, you know, blue light that turns on the cortisol and wakes up our body. So we think it's daytime when it's 10 p.m., right? And so that makes it much harder for us to sleep and get the recovery that we need during that sleep. So a dark room is definitely good.
So we got about 30 seconds
All
left.
right,
Time flies when you're having fun. But why should people come to Lumen? And then we're going to put your address up on the screen anyway. But
Yeah, absolutely.
tell people, why should they come to Lumen?
So we're in Nob Hill, right in the center of Albuquerque. They should come to Lumen because it will help them feel better. Basically, that's what we're all about, is trying to meet people where they're at, try to help them relax, get stronger, have more energy, have more connection with the people they love, get back to the person they really want to be.
We've been talking with Dan Spanogle, who is the owner of Lumen Optimal Wellness. You need to be there. And we're going to share a clip that he brought with us today. Thank you for being here today, Dan.
Thank you, Jim.
All right.
Hi, I'm Dan Spanogle. I founded Lumen Optimal Wellness 5 years ago this month. Over those past years, we served over 7,000 people and provided over 30,000 services, and have watched incredible transformations for people just like you.
All those things and all the tools here are backed by different reviews, books, authors, research. And I like that just as much as the way they make me feel.
Pulse has this awesome way of rebalancing me and taking down the inflammation and just restoring me to comfort, and I just love it. It's so simple.
I think today, when I look back at my flotation practice, I feel a sense of resilience that I didn't feel 4 years ago.
Neurooptimal has helped me to feel more comfortable just being me. My ability to cope with my own emotions is a lot greater. I can take on a lot more challenge in life and start to really enjoy it.
In working with Daryl, my pain has dissipated to the point that I don't feel like I need it, and I was able to cancel that surgery.
I'm really grateful that I came across the infrared sauna. I feel happier. After a session, my mood is usually boosted.
I love that my massage took me to this very deeply relaxed place, and it also relieved a lot of the pain that I had been feeling for quite some time.
The biggest benefits I've experienced using the Carol and ARX is they provide a baseline level of strength and endurance that support doing the other activities that I love.
You can step back, you can focus on discovering the root problems, and really get to a whole new level.
Within just a matter of weeks, my pain was almost completely gone.
My ankle felt a million times better. It felt back to normal.
It's allowed me to restore a lot of the function and decrease tremendously the amount of pain I experience.
I'm stronger, I'm significantly more flexible.
I've been able to sleep the whole night through.
It's allowed me to reach new highs. It's allowed me to recover more.
I'm in my most free and natural state of mind.
Really love this place. The staff is great. Everybody's really kind.
I'm so grateful that Dan put this together and brought it here to Albuquerque.
There's a real validation to knowing that I am using the latest tools. I'm doing it in the most efficient way. I'm accomplishing what I want and I'm having the best technology to do it.
If they can help me, then I guarantee they can help anybody else.
Thank you so much for being part of the Lumen family, and thank you for trusting us with your wellness and supporting us as a small business.
Until the next time, it's time to say goodbye. When you out here in the streets, keep it real 505. We love everybody, we just want to let you know. Thanks for tuning in to that Saturday show.